Leah's first trip to Mexico was a family vacation years earlier. This trip was something else entirely. Al bought the red 1978 Chevrolet Impala with plans to sell it later. To Leah, it looked like a muscle car, loud, bright, impossible to ignore. He assured her it was the right car for driving all the way across Mexico to Guatemala City. Leaving New Orleans in January didn't feel dramatic. The air was cool, no heater was needed, and the missing air conditioning didn't even cross her mind. The car felt solid, bench seats, a wide hood stretching ahead, the kind of American steel that made her feel any distance could be handled. Al had mapped the route. We'll drive most of the way through Texas on Interstate 10. Once we get to San Antonio, we'll stop for gas and a quick bite. He handed the map to Leah. Your job is navigator. You think you can keep up with me? Yes, I know how to read a map. He meticulously packed the car. Each item had a purpose, everything deliberate. I'm packing these things to keep our food stops short, and there might be stretches of road in Mexico where there's no place to stop. Leah watched him with interest. It reminded her of her father packing for a camping trip. She was thinking about a meal of beans and weenies with Oreos as a side, or maybe the main course. What are the Mardi Gras beads for? She asked. The beads will come in handy for bartering, or just to make a child or a señorita happy. Leah took a mental inventory of things in the trunk. Al's confidence made her feel everything in that trunk could mean their survival. Alka-Seltzers for stomach and headaches, Oreo cookies for comfort or a meal on the run, Mardi Gras beads because you never know when something small and colorful might open a door, beans and weenies for quick meals, maps, tools, spare parts. It didn't look like a vacation trunk. It looked like a trunk packed by a man who lived through something he didn't want to repeat. Wouldn't it be easier to fly? Leah asked. You wouldn't have to pack so much stuff. Too many reasons to list, Al said. Flying is expensive and we'll need the wheels once we get there. That distinction mattered. When they left New Orleans on January 10th in that red 1978 Chevrolet Impala, the plan was to reach Guatemala City by January 25th. That meant long days on the road. It was just 10 hours to reach the border. But before Guatemala City, there was Mexico. Al's friend in Guatemala City was Tuto. Leah never fully understood how they had met, only that Tuto was well educated and moved easily among powerful people. That kind of access mattered when paperwork and currency began to stall. Officially, they were going to inspect coffee at Finca Chanteros. Unofficially, it was about something far less romantic and far more complicated: currency. By 1980, the United States had suspended military aid to Guatemala over human rights abuses. It wasn't a blanket trade embargo on coffee, but when pressure tightens at that level, everything tightens below it. Banking tightens, insurance tightens, financing tightens. Coffee trades globally in U.S. dollars. The beans were not the problem. The problem was converting quetzals into dollars outside the established commodity exchanges. That's why they were driving. They crossed at Nuevo Laredo. That's where the tone shifted. Driving from one end of Mexico to the other wasn't casual. It required temporary vehicle import permits, Mexican insurance, stacks of paperwork, carbon copies, fees paid in cash, official stamps hitting paper with weight and finality. Why are you driving all the way to Guatemala? Why not fly? Why that car? The questions weren't hostile. They were steady, evaluating, measuring not just their answers, but their tone. Lia and Al stood under slow ceiling fans in offices that smelled faintly of ink and dust. They waited for their turn. Passports checked, car registration checked, contents of the trunk checked, and the aduanas officer took a package of Alka-Seltzer instead of the extra insurance fee. They paid. They waited again. Lia saw quickly how clarity mattered, how simplicity mattered. The fewer extra words offered, the fewer paths opened for confusion. By the time they pulled away from the border, something subtle had shifted. They were no longer in familiar territory. "Now, we won't be driving at night," Al said. "People here are known to put rocks in the road after dark. You hit one, you're stopped. And once you're stopped, you're vulnerable." He didn't say it dramatically. He said it like someone who had experienced those roads. "We'll wait until about 9 each morning before leaving. Let someone else hit the rocks first." It felt practical. Morning light meant visibility, movement, witnesses. Night meant isolation. They chose morning. In the heart of Mexico, there were no named chain hotels. The motels along the highway felt improvised. Dim hallways, thin towels, heavy curtains that blocked light, but not sound. More than once, Lia thought of the Eagles' song, Hotel California. You can check in. You hope you can check out. In Tampico, they stayed in a place where there was only one key for every room. One key. If someone else had it, you waited. The room was small. The walls were thin. The mattress was firm enough to remind you that sleep is optional. For hot water in the shower, you plugged in what looked like an electric burner off of a stove. The water ran over it before reaching you. It sizzled and hummed. The wiring was exposed in places. You stood under that stream hoping the circuit breaker clicked off before electrocution. You were hoping there was a circuit breaker. It was not UL approved, but it produced heat. There's something clarifying about that kind of travel. Comfort drops away. Expectation drops away. You stop assuming safety. You start calculating it. The highway stretched out in long, heat-shimmering lines. Trucks thundered past carrying goods stacked higher than looked safe. Painted buses, loaded with farm animals and people, leaned into curves. Roadside vendors appeared and disappeared in small clusters of color. Once they hit central Mexico, the temperature rose. No air conditioning meant windows down. Dust rolled in off the road and settled on everything. The dashboard, the seats, clothes, and their skin. The vinyl warmed under the sun. The steering wheel heated. Lia shifted constantly to keep from sticking to the seat. The red Impala became a moving oven. "From here on, we're likely to encounter military checkpoints without warning," Al said, very matter of fact. They had to stop for gas in small villages. Young men with rifles, neutral faces, looking into the car, looking at them. Being visibly American carries weight in certain places. It's a spotlight you don't control. Before Al got out of the car to pump gas, he gave Lia instructions. "Keep your hands visible, answer politely, and wait for my signal to move." Sometimes it came quickly, sometimes it didn't. The further south they drove, the more Lia understood that this wasn't a simple inspection trip. She knew Guatemala was unstable. She knew the government was under international scrutiny. She knew that currency conversion wasn't just an accounting problem, it was political. And still, they drove. Dust in their teeth, heat pressing through the glass, paperwork folded carefully in the glove compartment. The Impala rolled steadily, mile after mile. Somewhere along that highway, Lia realized something she couldn't quite articulate then. Understanding the stakes doesn't always stop you. Sometimes it sharpens you. You prepare, you observe, you answer carefully, you move during daylight, you keep the trunk stocked, and you continue. The red '78 Chevy carried more than luggage. It carried intention. It carried access waiting at the other end. It carried a younger version of Lia who knew enough to understand the volatility and still chose to go. Once they reached the mountains, the road narrowed, not gradually, suddenly. 2 lanes carved into stone, no shoulder, no forgiving space, just a rock wall on one side and open air on the other. The first time it happened, Lia didn't understand what was coming. A car came up from behind, fast. It flashed its headlights once, then again. Lia thought something was wrong with its lights. Al didn't slow. He didn't speed up either. He just glanced in the mirror and eased the Impala slightly toward the right, toward the edge. And then Lia saw what he was doing. The car behind them pulled into the oncoming lane. At the same time, a truck was coming from the opposite direction. No one stopped. No one panicked. The truck eased left toward the rock wall. The Impala eased right toward the drop. The passing car slid straight down the center, through the space between the truck and the Impala. There couldn't have been more than inches, maybe less. Lia braced, her feet against the dash without thinking, pressed her back into the seat, held her breath so hard her chest hurt. She looked out the window, straight down the mountain. No guardrail, just air. The Impala tilted slightly on the edged gravel, and then it was over. The passing car was ahead of them, gone around the bend. The truck straightened. Al straightened. Lia exhaled. No horns, no anger, no apology, just traffic continuing. Lia looked at him and said, "What was that?" He said, "That's how they pass." Like that explained everything. It happened again and again. Every time headlights flashed, every time 3 vehicles moved just enough. Everyone trusted everyone else to do exactly what they were supposed to do. The first time, Lia thought they were about to die. By the 5th time, she understood the choreography. It wasn't chaos. It was cooperation under pressure. Move just enough. Don't hesitate. Don't overcorrect. Trust the other driver to do the same. That was the mountain rule. Somewhere in Arroyo, in Mexico, around a bend Lia didn't see coming, she found out exactly how useful Oreo cookies could be. But before that bend, before Guatemala City, before the embassy fire, before the finca and the earthquake, the road itself taught her something. Systems matter, relationships matter, timing matters. And once you start driving south, you either commit to the road or you turn around. They didn't turn around. They kept heading south toward Guatemala City in January 1980, windows down, dust settling into everything they owned, the red Impala steady beneath them. And that was only the beginning.